Once upon a time, in a quiet little town nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, there lived a small, scruffy dog named Max. Max was no ordinary dog. He had a spirit that refused to be broken, no matter how harsh life had been to him. His fur was a patchwork of brown and white, matted and unkempt, but his eyes, those deep, soulful eyes, spoke of a resilience that few could understand. Max's early days were shrouded in darkness. He had been born into a home where kindness was a foreign concept. His owner, a man with a temper as volatile as a storm, saw Max as nothing more than a burden. The man's anger was unpredictable, and Max bore the brunt of it. Kicks, shouts, and neglect were his daily companions. The man would often leave Max chained outside in the cold, rain, or blistering heat, with little food and even less affection. Max learned to survive on scraps and the occasional kindness of strangers who would toss him a bone or a piece of bread. But despite the cruelty, Max never lost hope. There was something inside him, a spark, a flicker of light that refused to be extinguished. He would dream of a better life, a life where he was loved and cared for. He would imagine running through fields, feeling the wind in his fur, and hearing the laughter of children. These dreams kept him going, even on the darkest days. One fateful night, the man's anger reached a boiling point. In a fit of rage, he kicked Max so hard that the little dog yelped in pain and fled into the night. Max ran and ran, his paws pounding against the cold, hard ground. He didn't stop until he could no longer hear the man's shouts echoing behind him. Exhausted and trembling, Max collapsed under a large oak tree on the outskirts of town. He was alone, but for the first time in his life, he was free. The days that followed were tough. Max had to fend for himself, scavenging for food and shelter. He learned to avoid humans, fearing that they would hurt him as his former owner had. But despite his fear, Max couldn't help but be drawn to the town. He would watch from a distance as children played in the streets, their laughter filling the air. He would see families walking their dogs, their faces filled with love and joy. Max longed for that kind of connection, but he didn't know how to trust again. One day, as Max was rummaging through a trash bin behind a small bakery, he heard a soft voice calling to him. "Hey there, little guy," the voice said. Max froze, his heart pounding in his chest. He turned to see a young woman with kind eyes and a gentle smile. She held out a piece of bread, her hand steady and unthreatening. Max hesitated, his instincts telling him to run. But something about the woman's presence made him stay. Slowly, cautiously, Max approached the woman. She didn't move, didn't try to grab him. She simply waited, her hand outstretched. When Max was close enough, he took the bread from her hand and quickly backed away. The woman smiled and said, "It's okay, you're safe now." Those words struck a chord deep within Max. For the first time in his life, he felt a glimmer of hope. The woman, whose name was Emily, began to visit Max every day. She would bring him food, water, and a blanket to keep him warm. She would sit with him, talking softly and patiently, waiting for him to trust her. It took weeks, but eventually, Max began to let his guard down. He would wag his tail when he saw her, and even allow her to pet him. Emily knew that Max had been through a lot, and she was determined to give him the love and care he deserved. One day, Emily decided to take Max home with her. She had a small cottage on the edge of town, surrounded by a garden filled with flowers and trees. It was a peaceful place, and Max felt a sense of calm as soon as he stepped inside. Emily gave him a warm bath, brushed his fur, and fed him a hearty meal. For the first time in his life, Max felt truly safe. As the days turned into weeks, Max began to heal. He gained weight, his fur grew soft and shiny, and his eyes lost their haunted look. Emily taught him how to play, how to trust, and how to love. Max flourished under her care, and the bond between them grew stronger with each passing day. But Max's journey was far from over. One evening, as Emily and Max were taking a walk through the forest, they heard a faint cry coming from the bushes. Emily followed the sound and found a small, injured bird lying on the ground. Its wing was broken, and it was too weak to fly. Emily gently picked up the bird and brought it home, determined to nurse it back to health. Max watched as Emily cared for the bird, just as she had cared for him. He felt a deep sense of empathy for the little creature, and he stayed by its side, offering comfort and warmth. Over time, the bird began to heal, and Max felt a sense of pride, knowing that he had played a part in its recovery. When the bird was finally strong enough to fly, Emily and Max took it back to the forest and set it free. As they watched it soar into the sky, Max felt a sense of peace and fulfillment. He had come so far from the scared, broken dog he once was. He had found love, trust, and a purpose. Max's story spread throughout the town, and he became a symbol of resilience and hope. People would come from far and wide to meet the little dog who had overcome so much. Max would greet them with a wagging tail and a joyful bark, his eyes shining with gratitude. Years passed, and Max grew old, but his spirit remained as strong as ever. He had lived a life filled with love, kindness, and compassion, and though he had started his journey in darkness, he had found his way to the light. One day, as Max lay in the garden, basking in the warmth of the sun, he closed his eyes and took his final breath. Emily was by his side, her tears falling onto his soft fur. She knew that Max had left this world a better place, and that his legacy would live on in the hearts of all who had known him. And so the little dog, who had once been broken and alone, became a beacon of hope, a reminder that no matter how dark the night, the dawn will always come. Max's story was one of courage, resilience, and the transformative power of love. And though he was gone, his spirit would forever remain, a testament to the incredible strength of the heart.